Welcome to today's deep dive. You ready to go deep?
Always.
All right. So we're diving into the career of Lisa. She's a rapper, incredibly talented, obviously. And we're going to be comparing her path to K-pop success with, who else? The Beatles.
Two icons.
Yeah.
Spanning generations.
Exactly. Now, everyone knows the Beatles.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we'll find some interesting things along the way that even some Beatles fans might not know.
I think so, too. There's always something new to discover.
Always. Okay, so first, I think it's important for us to kind of get a handle on Lisa's whole path to fame.
Okay.
Explore K-pop a little bit.
Great.
And then we can see how these two musical, giants, I guess you could say,
For sure.
made their mark, even though they're, generations apart.
Worlds apart, yeah.
Different worlds, yeah. But they both represent so much more than just their music. They're both, cultural touchstones. They've resonated far beyond just their specific genres.
Yeah. They're icons.
Icons, that's the word. So let's start with Lisa's journey.
Okay.
So rewind all the way back to 2011. Lisa moves from Thailand to South Korea. She was 14 at the time to train, in the super intense world of K-pop.
Wow.
Can you imagine that dedication?
Think about it. You're 14 years old, moving to a completely different country, throwing yourself into this incredibly demanding training system you don't even know if you're ever going to debut.
And you're leaving your family.
Exactly.
You're leaving everything you know.
Yeah. It's a huge leap of faith.
It really is. And that right there kind of highlights how global K-pop is.
Absolutely.
Lisa, she's from Thailand, and she becomes a K-pop star. It just shows how K-pop goes way beyond South Korea.
Way beyond.
And it pulls in talent from everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's really pretty cool when you think about it.
It is. It's a real melting pot of talent.
And even before she officially debuted with Blackpink, Lisa was already making a name for herself.
Oh, yeah.
You might remember her from Taeyang's Ringa Linga music video.
Yeah.
She was a background dancer in that one, along with some members of iKON and Winner.
Talk about paying your dues.
That's right.
That's like the ultimate K-pop apprenticeship. You're learning the ropes, honing your skills, all before you even step into the spotlight.
It's like a masterclass in K-pop performance.
Exactly.
And something else I think is super interesting. Lisa became the first non-ethnically Korean trainee at YG Entertainment. She broke barriers.
Oh, absolutely.
In a system that, let's be real.
Traditionally, very homogenous.
Yeah, very.
It was a big deal.
Huge deal.
And it paved the way for others to follow.
Yeah, it opened doors for sure. And she didn't just stop at music either.
Oh, no.
Before Blackpink, they're huge now, but before they became the global sensation they are now.
Right, before all that.
Lisa was also modeling for brands like Nani's Manon Moonshot. That shows how versatile she is.
Totally. Being a K-pop star, it's not just about singing and dancing.
Right.
It's about creating a persona, an image that goes beyond the stage.
Yeah. From fashion to music videos, the whole package.
The whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And, come on, look at her now.
Oh, she's killing it.
She's earned some serious accolades. In 2023, she was awarded the Watanakunathorn Award.
Wow.
By Thailand.
Wow.
Recognizing her as, get this, a cultural ambassador for her home country.
That's incredible. It really speaks to her impact, how she's become a symbol of Thailand on the world stage.
That is incredible.
And what's even more remarkable, she's also received an MBE.
Wait, an MBE?
Yeah.
What's that?
Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. It's a prestigious award given by the UK to individuals who've made significant contributions to their fields.
Wow.
That's huge.
Seriously. Oh, wow.
She's one of the few K-pop artists to be honored in this way. It shows her impact goes way beyond just music.
That's mind-blowing. She's on a whole other level.
She really is.
And hold on, there's more.
Oh, there's more.
Lisa's been featured on all kinds of best-of lists, consistently. She was inducted into the 2023 Asian Hall of Fame as a cultural icon, was on Goldhouse's A100 Most Impactful Asians list in 2022. And even back in 2019, The Guardian named her one of the best girl band members of all time.
That's amazing.
Right.
That kind of recognition, it's a testament to her staying power.
Yeah.
To her influence. It's one thing to have a moment, right?
Right.
But Lisa, she's consistently shown her talent and her impact over, years now.
Yeah, this isn't just a flash in the pan.
No, not at all.
This is the real deal.
A real deal.
So to really understand how big Lisa's solo success is,
Yeah.
We need to look at K-pop as a whole.
Okay.
So
Good.
we've got this list here of the top K-pop groups from 2019 to 2023.
Okay.
Okay, and right away you see the big names.
The heavy hitters.
BTS,
Right.
17,
Yep.
Twice. They're kind of dominating. I mean, that's the K-pop scene. It's like fiercely competitive. These groups, they're constantly trying to hit that top spot, and trends, they change like that.
Yeah.
It's fast-paced.
It's wild. And here's the thing. Lisa, she's solo.
Right.
And she broke into this list in 2021. That's huge. It shows her individual power in K-pop, that she's a force even outside of Blackpink.
Absolutely. It was a real turning point for her. It proved she could captivate audiences all on her own.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, you see PSY on the 2022 list. I mean, Gangnam Style, that was a bridge between K-pop and, like, mainstream pop culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then you've got Zero Base Sony, a new group making their mark in 2023. It seems like K-pop is always evolving, new talent popping up all the time.
That's what's so exciting about it.
Right. You never know what's coming next.
Now, let's switch gears a little
Look
bit.
for
Let's
it.
talk about the Beatles.
All right.
So when you hear that name, the Beatles, what pops into your head?
I think for me, it's that iconic image of them walking across Abbey Road.
Yeah, that's a classic. I mean, their music has truly echoed through generations.
Oh, absolutely. It's instant nostalgia for so many people.
Yeah.
So for those who might need a little refresher, the Beatles started out in Liverpool, England, back in the late 1950s. Went through a few name changes. The Quarrymen was one of them, before they landed on the one we all know.
Yeah. A few bumps in the road before they hit it big.
I mean, who hasn't? Right.
Right.
So then they spent some time in Hamburg, Germany. This is where they really honed their skills, playing night after night, fueled by, let's just say, something a little stronger than tea.
Oh, yeah. Those Hamburg days were legendary.
Legendary is a good word.
I mean, they were playing for hours on end in some pretty rough clubs. It was a real trial by fire.
Yeah.
But it shaped them, musically and personally.
It's like a musical boot camp.
It really was. Being exposed to a different culture, different musical influences, that grueling schedule, it definitely forged their sound, their stage presence, everything.
Made them who they were.
Exactly.
And, here's a fun little fact. It was in Hamburg that Stu Sutcliffe, the original bassist,
Right?
got that famous X-Stand haircut, short for existentialist.
Oh, yeah, the iconic Beatle cut.
Astrid Kircher, she was a photographer, friend of the band. She gave it to him.
Right.
And the other Beatles, they loved it.
Oh, yeah. They all adopted it. It became their signature.
And it's funny because, their image, it wasn't manufactured. It just kind of evolved organically from their own experiences and the people they knew.
Yeah. It wasn't some marketing scheme. It was
Right.
just them being them.
And speaking of Stu, he left the band in 1961 to pursue art.
Right?
And that led to Paul McCartney switching from guitar to bass. Can you imagine the Beatles with a different bassist?
It's hard to picture, isn't it?
It's wild to think about. It's like Lisa's early training, all those evolving roles as part of that fluidity,
Yeah,
that experimentation that shapes a band in those early days.
exactly. They were figuring it out as they went along.
So then, Beatlemania.
Oh, here we go.
The term was actually coined during their 1963 UK tour to describe, the crazy fan frenzy they generated.
I mean, it was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before for a pop group.
It was absolute pandemonium. Screaming crowds, people fainting, fans chasing their car, mobbing them at hotels.
It was insane, like a full-blown cultural phenomenon.
It's interesting to compare that to the passion of K-pop fans today.
Oh, yeah.
The way fans express their devotion, it's different.
Yeah, the methods might have changed,
Yeah.
but the intensity of feeling,
Oh, it's still there.
big time. It's that same fervent dedication.
And then, February 1964, the Beatles arrive in America.
Cue the British invasion.
Millions tuned in to the Ed Sullivan Show to watch them.
I can't even imagine millions of people glued to their TVs.
And at JFK Airport, thousands of fans mobbed them. The scale of it all is just mind-boggling.
It's hard to comprehend that level of fame. It's on a whole other level.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
The Beatles arrived in America during a time of national grief, uncertainty. America was still reeling from President Kennedy's assassination.
Right. The country was in mourning.
Yeah, there was a sense of loss, of disillusionment.
Yeah. And then in come the Beatles with their youthful energy, their optimistic music. It was like a breath of fresh air.
It's like they offered a ray of hope, a chance to escape the heaviness of the time.
Exactly. They brought back joy, possibility.
And their music, man.
Oh, the
It
music.
wasn't just about catchy tunes.
No, it was more than that.
They were constantly changing their sound,
Evolving.
moving from those early covers to more complex experimental stuff.
Right. It's like they were always pushing the boundaries.
How much of that do you think was their own creative drive?
Oh,
And
very.
how much was George Martin, their producer?
Ah, George Martin, the fifth Beatle.
He's often called that.
And for good reason. He played a huge role in shaping their sound.
Right. He wasn't just a technician.
No, he was a collaborator,
Yeah.
a musical partner who helped the Beatles push their creative limits.
Take Yesterday, for example.
Classic.
Paul wasn't sure about adding strings at first.
Right.
But it transformed the song into, well, the masterpiece we know today.
It's amazing how a seemingly small change can have such a huge impact.
It really is. And speaking of pushing boundaries, their studio experimentation was legendary.
Oh, yeah.
Unusual instruments, tape loops, they created soundscapes that were groundbreaking for the time. It's almost like a precursor to the high production value we see in K-pop today.
Yeah, there are definitely parallels there. Both the Beatles and K-pop groups, they've pushed the limits of what's considered popular music.
Oh.
They incorporate different influences, innovative production technique.
The Beatles' legacy, I mean, it's massive. They influenced so many musicians, shaped fashion trends. They became these cultural icons whose impact is still felt today.
Oh, without a doubt, their music continues to connect with new listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear their influence in countless artists across genres.
And get this, the ownership of their song catalog has a pretty wild history. It was sold to Michael Jackson in the 80s, and then later to Sony.
There's like a whole other story behind the music.
It shows you behind all the creativity, there's a complex business side to this industry.
Absolutely. It highlights that complicated relationship between art and commerce. I mean, the Beatles' music, it came from their creative genius, but it also became this valuable commodity, traded and controlled by these powerful entities.
And that brings us to Lisa.
Okay.
Both her and the Beatles, they achieved huge success.
Global domination.
But in very different musical landscapes.
Right. Lisa rose to stardom in the structured world of K-pop.
Yeah.
While the Beatles, their rise was more organic, driven by live performances and that incredible fan frenzy we talked about.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What does that tell us about how you become successful in the music industry? How has that changed? It makes you wonder if the path to stardom today with social media and carefully crafted online personas has become more, I don't know, manufactured, strategic?
Yeah, it's a whole different game now.
Right. I mean, back then, it was all about talent, hard work, and connecting with audiences on a personal level.
It's like comparing apples and oranges almost.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll uncover even more insights as we dig deeper into their music and impact in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm excited to keep exploring. There's so much more to uncover.
Me too. All right, so we're back. We've been talking about Lisa and the Beatles, two musical powerhouses who, I mean, come on, they've achieved global success, but in totally different ways.
Totally different worlds.
So let's dig into their musical styles, like what makes them tick musically.
Okay, sounds good.
So Lisa, she's known for that fierce rapping, those powerful dance moves, and let's be real, that charisma on stage, it's undeniable.
Oh yeah, she commands the stage.
Her music, it's like this blend of hip-hop, pop, and electronic stuff. And it's all packaged with that, signature K-pop visual flair.
I mean, that's a huge part of K-pop, right? The visuals,
Yeah.
music videos, choreography, fashion.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah, it's not just about listening to the music. It's like you're immersed in this whole audio-visual world.
Totally. It's a spectacle.
And those K-pop music videos, they're basically mini-movies. Elaborate sets, crazy costumes, special effects, the whole 9 yards.
They're works of art in themselves.
Seriously. Now, the Beatles, they came up in a completely different time,
Mm-hmm.
Music back then, it was mainly through radio and those vinyl records.
Yeah, a simpler time, musically speaking.
Their early sound, it was rooted in rock and roll, but they pulled influences from, blues, skiffle, even a little bit of country.
Yeah, they had a real eclectic mix of influences.
But what's so cool about the Beatles, they never stopped experimenting.
Oh yeah, they were always pushing the boundaries.
They ended up incorporating classical music, Indian music, even some avant-garde sounds.
They weren't afraid to try new things.
It's like their music mirrored what was happening in the 60s, all that social and artistic change. It was a wild time.
It really was a time of revolution.
And their songwriting, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, what a legendary duo.
Some of the greatest songwriters of all time.
Seriously, they created some of the most iconic songs ever. Yesterday, Let It Be, Hey Jude. I mean, those are anthems that have gone way beyond just one generation.
They captured something universal in their music.
They had this incredible range, too. They could be playful and fun, like in Yellow Submarine, but then they could get super deep and introspective, like in Strawberry Fields Forever.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to show their vulnerability.
Their willingness to always evolve, push those boundaries, that's part of what made them so captivating.
Yeah, they kept people guessing.
And we can't forget George Harrison. He added this whole spiritual and introspective element to their songwriting with songs like Something, Here Comes the Sun.
Oh, George brought something special to the mix.
And Ringo's drumming, it was often kind of understated, but it provided that essential backbone to their sound.
You can't have the Beatles without Ringo.
Each member brought something unique, and their success, it was built on this foundation of shared creativity and respect for each other.
They were a true band in every sense of the word.
They weren't just bandmates, they were friends who, like, pushed each other, inspired each other.
Yeah, they had that magic, that chemistry.
But I mean, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, right?
No band is perfect.
They had creative differences, personality clashes, and eventually, well, they split.
It's the classic band story, in a way.
But even in their breakup, there's a lesson there.
What's that?
Even the most successful collaborations can be messy, and you need communication, compromise. Keeping that creative spark alive, it's tough, especially over time.
There's a constant balancing act.
And their solo careers, they were all so different, but they showed how talented each of them was individually.
Yeah, they proved they were more than just the Beatles. They were artists in their own right.
Okay, so I love digging up those little-known facts that surprise even the biggest fans. Got any good ones about the Beatles? Stuff that'll make our listeners go, whoa, I never knew that.
Oh, I've got a few up my sleeve.
Yeah.
How about this? The Beatles almost had a completely different name.
Really?
Yeah, before they settled on the Beatles, they were tossing around names like Johnny and the Moondogs and the Silver Beatles.
The Silver Beatles. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it?
It's amazing how these little decisions can have such a huge impact.
It's true. Okay, here's another one. Did you know the Beatles were huge Elvis fans?
No way.
Yeah, they even met him once at his house in Beverly Hills back in 1965. Can you imagine that?
That's insane. That meeting of musical legends, it must have been epic.
Oh, I bet it was. Okay, one more fun fact. Ready?
Hit me with it.
It was George Harrison who brought the sitar into the Beatles' sound.
The sitar.
Yeah, he was fascinated by Indian music, especially the work of Ravi Shankar. So he started incorporating the sitar into songs like Norwegian Wood.
That's so cool. It was a really groundbreaking move, bringing Eastern musical influences into Western pop.
Yeah, it showed their openness to new sounds.
Speaking of groundbreaking, let's talk about fandom. Both Lisa and the Beatles, they've cultivated these incredibly devoted fan bases.
Fandom is a powerful force.
But how has fandom itself changed? From Beatlemania back in the day to, like, K-pop stans today?
Oh, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technology and social media have totally transformed the way fans connect with artists.
Back in the Beatles era, it was all about physical presence. You know, buying records, going to concerts, collecting all that memorabilia. Fan clubs were huge back then.
Yeah, it was about shared experiences, being in the same space.
Fans would wait in line for hours to get tickets, scream their heads off at concerts, send handwritten letters.
It was a different kind of intimacy.
But now, in the digital age, fandom has gone online.
Big time.
K-pop stans, they're super active on social media.
Oh yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, they're everywhere.
They're like a global army, always ready to support their idols. They stream their music, vote for them in awards shows, even translate content for international fans.
Their dedication is incredible.
It really is. They create fan art, write fan fiction, even organize these massive fan projects to promote their idols worldwide.
It's next level fandom.
Seriously, it makes you realize how technology has, like, amplified the whole power of fandom.
It's not limited by location anymore. Fans can connect with each other and their idols from anywhere in the world.
So has technology made fandom better? Or has it diluted the experience? What do you think?
That's a tough one. I think both have their own special something.
Yeah.
There's something magical about being at a live concert, feeling that energy, or holding a vinyl record in your hands.
Yeah.
It's tangible.
I get that.
But online fandom, it's created this global community. Fans can connect, share their passion no matter where they are.
I guess it's not about one being better than the other. It's about recognizing the different ways fans engage with the music and artists they love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fandom is a celebration of that connection.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. One of the most interesting things about both Lisa and the Beatles is their impact on, like, society and culture.
They both left their mark.
Lisa, as part of Blackpink, she's riding this K-pop wave that's taken over the world.
K-pop is a global phenomenon.
It's influenced fashion, beauty, even language. It's broken down cultural barriers and shown people how vibrant and creative Korean culture is.
And Lisa, with her international background and her stage presence, she's the perfect embodiment of that global appeal.
The Beatles, on the other hand, they came up during this massive period of social and cultural change.
The 60s were a turbulent time.
Their music became the soundtrack to the counterculture movement. Their lyrics were about peace, love, rebellion against all those old societal norms.
They were a voice for a generation.
And it wasn't just the music. They challenged ideas about masculinity with their long hair and clothes, and they weren't afraid to speak out about social and political issues.
They encouraged people to question authority.
They were cultural icons who shaped the values and aesthetics of a whole generation.
Their impact went way beyond music.
And it's still felt today. Their music is covered by artists of all genres. And their message of peace and love, it's more relevant than ever.
It's a timeless message.
It's incredible how their legacy lives on. They proved music can be more than just entertainment. It can be a force for change, a way to start conversations, and a source of inspiration for generations to come.
It's the power of music.
Both Lisa and the Beatles, they've used their platforms to support causes they care about. Lisa's been a big advocate for animal rights. She uses her social media to raise awareness about animal welfare.
It's great to see artists using their influence for good.
And the Beatles, especially John Lennon, they were outspoken about peace and social justice.
John Lennon was a true activist.
His activism, through his music and his words, made some people uncomfortable. But he never backed down from using his platform to fight for what he believed in.
He was a fearless advocate for change.
It's inspiring to see artists using their voice to try and make a positive impact. They remind us that we all have a voice, and we can use it to stand up for what we believe in.
It's about using your platform for good.
And sometimes the most powerful statements are made through art. Music, it can transcend languages and cultures. It can be a powerful tool to raise awareness, start conversations, and inspire action.
It's a universal language.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's think about the bigger picture here. What can we learn from Lisa and the Beatles' success?
Okay, what do we take away from all of this?
What can their journeys teach us about how the music industry works, the power of fandom, the impact of cultural icons?
They're both fascinating case studies.
They show how much the music business has changed, how technology has changed the way fans connect, and the lasting impact of artists who dare to be different.
It's about breaking the mold and making a difference.
As we move into the last part of our deep dive and explore even more about their impact, think about what stands out to you. What parts of their stories inspire you? What lessons can you learn from their experiences? How do their stories change how you see the power of music to shape culture and connect people across generations? Man, what a journey.
I know, right?
Lisa and the Beatles? Two totally different worlds.
Totally.
But they both hit that global recognition, like they went beyond just music.
Yeah, beyond cultures, languages. It's pretty amazing.
But they tapped into, I don't know, a universal language, something that speaks to everyone.
Yeah, that's it. It's something deeper. Doesn't matter where you're from.
Music is powerful like that, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Music evokes emotions. It tells stories.
Creates connections, definitely. Connections that go beyond words.
Exactly. And both Lisa and the Beatles, they used music to connect with their audiences, on a personal level.
For sure. Like Lisa's lyrics, they often talk about self-love, empowerment, following your dreams.
And those messages they resonate with, like young people everywhere. It's universal,
Yeah, it's about finding your voice, chasing your passions. That speaks to everyone, not just young people.
That's true. It's a human thing.
And the Beatles, those heartfelt ballads, the lyrics, so introspective.
They touched on experiences we all go through. Love, loss, hope.
And those themes, they're timeless.
They'll always be relevant.
It's like their music gives you comfort, understanding.
Yeah, a sense of belonging.
That's something we all need, right?
Especially in a world that can feel kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why their legacy is so strong. They connected with people on an emotional level.
Yeah, their music is part of us now, our culture, our memories.
It's like a soundtrack to our lives.
Exactly. Marking those important moments. Bringing back feelings, reminding us of who we are.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. So as we wrap this up, it's interesting to think about how Lisa and the Beatles will keep impacting future generations. I mean, their music will definitely inspire new artists. Their stories will keep fascinating people.
Definitely.
And their messages, those messages of hope, love, unity, they'll hopefully resonate, especially in a world that, well, let's face it, needs them.
That's a beautiful thought, that their music will keep touching lives, for years to come. So I guess to close things out, we've seen how Lisa and the Beatles both became huge stars, but their paths were completely different.
Different worlds, different times.
What do you think that says about how to make a cultural impact? How has that changed in the music industry?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
I think it shows how much the industry is always changing, how technology has changed everything, but also the power of artists who connect with people on a human level, that'll never go away.
Well said. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the worlds of Lisa and the Beatles. I hope you enjoyed it.
Me too. It's been a blast.
Until next time, keep listening to great music and keep exploring. You never know what you'll discover.